This is why we have so many engineers. Because that's what I think the world or the globalization wanted, and then you have...
Eierschalen, Sollbuch, Stellen verursacht.
That was
People in the comments guess what it means. Hello and welcome to 20 Minutes Abroad, the podcast where we talk about different cultures from different countries. Today we are going to talk about the work life in India and in France, and we're also going to talk about how the educational system differs in different countries, right after the intro. My guest today is Shivi. She is originally from India and has also lived in France for some time. So, welcome to our podcast. The first question I have for you is, what is something unique about your home country?
So, as you know, I come from India, and there's no one correct answer to it. There is, India is a huge country with a diverse culture. Like we say in India, at every 100 kilometers, the language, the culture, the attire changes. So it's very diverse in culturally and linguistically. But I mean, there's different kinds of art and music and dance, and every region speaks their own language. There's a lot of difference in weather. When people in Europe think, they always ask me, do you have winter in India? And then it's a very surprising and shocking question for me, because we do have winters in India. It's not just hot summer in India, but it's a huge country, and geographically we have from north to south, we have different weather conditions. So it also snows, and there are also part of India in south where it has no winters at all. So
interesting.
Yes.
I also didn't know that it can snow in India.
Really?
So you always think about like a really hot country.
Yes, that's why I mentioned this example.
Yeah, it's really a good example.
Right.
So thank you for answering the first question. And for the second question, we have printed out some tickets actually, and you can pick your second question yourself.
All right. I'm gonna go with the central one. Okay, I picked two, so this one.
And
do I read it or you read
there's
it?
There's one number on it, so it's number 12.
Okay.
Yes. And the question I have for you today is, what is the hardest word in your mother tongue?
In my mother tongue? Wow. You know, it's very interesting because in India, we don't really speak pure mother tongue these days.
Okay.
And it's more because it's always mixed with English. So if you don't find a word in your mother tongue, you would just switch to English.
Okay, interesting.
So for example, my mother tongue is Hindi, and what language we actually speak is mix of Hindi and English, and we call it Hinglish, because in one sentence I would say a few words in Hindi, and then I'll just mix with English. So it's actually very hard to answer a question, but let me think for a word. I mean, any word for you, I'm sure it's difficult to say, but
of course.
Suprabhat.
What does that mean?
Good morning. I mean, it's not a difficult word, but I mean, it's hard for people who are not Indians to have that correct pronunciation.
Is this Suprabhat?
Suprabhat. Prabhat, yes.
I'm trying, but I'm failing.
But good try.
Thank you. Nice. So thank you for answering this question. And let's get into our first topic area, which is about your work life in India and also your move to France. So speaking about the work life in India, how would you describe it?
Well, I have worked, honestly, very briefly in India because I was studying most of the time. I did my master's. And then I worked for a short while in school as a French teacher and as a English teacher or a cultural education teacher in a graduation college. And like I said, it was very brief, so I did not really experience, and I was living also with my family, with my parents. So it was pretty comfortable for me. Schools, as usual, you go in the morning, afternoon you come back, and then you're at home. But what I have learned from experience, what I've seen, how my father, my cousins, my brother and sister-in-law work, is actually they're very hardworking, I would say. or a better way, not hardworking, I would say they work a lot in India. So as a cultural thing, Indians work a lot. They are very flexible, and I would say there's one reason for that it's a very cultural reason, because people in India, they can't say no to a lot of things. So you also see, especially in IT sectors, that people are also working on weekends, and there's a lot of competition in India. So people are willing to work extra, go extra miles, and and there is also a very blur boundary between work and personal culture space. So working in India is that means giving a lot of time, working extra hours, and sometimes if you live in a city and you have to go to office, that you have to also calculate the commuting hours. Sometimes even a short distance in a big city can take you an hour or two to reach your workplace. So that's how it is.
So there's not a lot of work-life balance going on.
It's a very average work-life balance. It's not as good as here or in any other country. People just go out of their way, or I don't. It's a cultural thing maybe, because like I said, you can't say no, and there's also a lot of competition in India. So you do tend to work hard to get paid more or get promoted or yeah.
Fancy,
lot of reasons, but yes, it's
sounds
not
a bit
very
exhausting.
good. Yes, it's sometimes it's stressful, and then there's a lot of work also.
Okay, and then so you said you moved to France because of your master's,
Yes.
and was that the only reason, or was there something else that motivated you to go to France?
Well, love for the French language was the reason, actually. I moved to France. I actually started learning French, not in school, but as a extra evening course at Alliance Française de Bhopal, and that really motivated me and to pursue further. Well, and the language itself is so interesting. It sounds amazing. And at Alliance Française, I was not just learning the language, but it's a cultural center also. So they would invite a French artist and have exhibitions. So I was also learning about the culture.
Cool.
That made me more interested in learning more about the French culture and living there and pursuing something. So my father also really motivated me to move to France and then pursue another master's, and then it actually worked.
Oh, nice. And it's really cool that he supported that decision. And in what ways would you say was your life in France then different than in India?
Well, of course. I mean, as an Asian, if you move from such a country to Europe, there's a huge difference in life. You learn a lot, and I would say if you've lived in India, you're an Indian, you tend to get a lot of help, and in the sense that you live with your parents. It's a cultural thing. It's not a big deal when even if you're old enough, you live with your parents and work. So your domestic life is easier. You don't have to cook for yourself or do the household work. So that way, I would say, you had a very pretty comfortable life in India. There was a lot of difference. So once I moved to India, I had to learn to be independent. I mean, right from opening bank accounts and getting I don't know, a lot of things. I mean, buying groceries, doing your own laundry, cooking, and then having a routine, going to work. So managing your bills. So which you could also do in India, but again, I mean, in being in Europe or France, in a country like France, you would tend to do everything on your own. Like I said, cleaning, laundry, which you might get some help in India. So
it's like the first time you're really independent completely, and then also in a different language.
Yes, and language, yes. Even if I moved to France, knowing the language, it was a very different experience speaking to a French in their language, because like I said, I learned French in India, and I was taught French by Indians.
Yeah, of course.
So I mean, they were very good. They were experienced teachers, but still there is a slight difference in accent.
Yeah.
So I was comfortable. I could understand, and I was comfortable, speaking there. But once I moved to France, and when you hear the native speak the language, it takes you time to understand and respond.
Of course.
So the accent and the pace they speak, maybe it could be faster or they are too informal. So knowing the language, a different language, and then
Actually speaking it is
speaking it, and then having your own trying to get used to the everyday life and administration and work, and then it took me time, but it was fun. It was a very good experience. I was a little nervous initially, and then I thought, oh my god, I did learn French, but this is not the French I learned. Why am I not understanding? But yes, but little effort you make, and then you see that people are really happy to help you, and then
I think especially with French people, you always have the stereotype that they're kind of like closed off and don't want to talk to you if you don't speak French.
Absolutely, yes.
Did you experience that in some way?
Well, actually not. Well, actually, really, I did not feel that, because right from the day when I was speaking their language, it was it was broken French at the beginning, but and they could see I'm not a person. I mean, from my appearance, it's very easy to make out I'm not from this part of the world. So just a little bit of French, and then a smiling face, and then they were very helpful. The fun fact is, I moved to France in 2014. And I'm still in contact with my landlady. She's a wonderful French lady.
Nice.
And she also attended my wedding in India with her family. So,
that's so
yes,
nice.
yeah. So I mean that she's like the biggest, best example of a French person. I mean, yeah.
I'm really glad you had a good experience.
Yes,
there.
it was wonderful. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, for a little break, we are going to play a game with each other.
Sure.
So we have two blackboards next to us.
Yes.
And we are going to get 3 questions.
Okay.
These are guessing questions, so we have to guess the answer and write it on the board.
Okay.
We have 5 seconds.
Oh wow.
So
okay.
should be a bit stressful.
Okay.
And then we're going to show the answers to the camera, and whoever is closest gets a point.
Okay. All right. So excited.
So there's also some chalk.
Okay.
Okay, let's go. How many Indians live outside of India?
Wow. Oh my god.
So hard to
Oh my
answer.
god. I can't even. Oh my god.
And that's
I
really,
want
really
to-
stressful. So
It's not correct. I need to add more.
okay, you ready? So you guessed. What is it? 1 million
It's 100 million
or 100 million?
or more than that. Sort of like you could say like 1,000 million if it's even a word.
Okay, I guessed for 250,000 because I have no idea.
Oh, we are a lot of people outside India.
17.9 million.
70. Oh, so yeah, okay.
I would
Like-
say you get a point.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, that is too less.
Yeah,
I'm extremely. I mean, I'm an extreme end. So
I think yours is closer.
Yes.
Though. How many snails does an average French person eat per year?
wow,
Whoa.
that is such an interesting.
That's-
I'm a vegetarian,
Okay.
so I don't know.
I've never eaten snails before, so I'm not sure. Okay.
I don't know
Yes.
how.
Okay, so your guess is 50. My guess
I
is
don't know.
1,400, because why not? Because I imagine that when you eat snails, you don't eat one snail, you eat like 10
Oh really?
or
Okay.
something. 6.5 snails.
What? Oh,
Only.
I'm closer. Yay!
You already won the game. But that's like, this 6.5 is like not a lot. I would imagine that it would be more than that.
Right?
Since you won, you get a little present
Oh,
from us.
really?
Thank you from behind the screen. We have some
Oh,
chocolates
thank
for
you.
you.
Merci beaucoup. And it is merci.
That's
Thank you.
fitting.
Yeah.
I hope you like the chocolates.
Yes, of course. These days a lot, especially.
That's great. Okay, then let's start into our second topic area, where we will talk a bit more about the educational system since you worked in that field. And looking back to your country of origin, so India, how would you describe the educational system there?
So the education system in India is unfortunately not very learn-centric, and it's more, I would say, focused on exams. So it's more exam-centric. So teachers and parents and they would, want you to focus more on learning a subject, on the theory part and scoring and having a good score during the exam rather than, having the practical knowledge of it. So that's very unfortunate in a way. And it is very different from what you have here, what I've experienced. Also, the education system in India somehow, like I said, there's a lot of population, there's a lot of competition. So it puts a lot of pressure on students right from an early age to perform really good, because at the end, it's the score that matters and will get you into a good college, good university, get you a good job. So it's actually, right from the kindergarten. For example, I would give you the example of my niece I recently visited. She's 5-year-old. She goes to a kindergarten and she could, count till 100. She could write till 100. She could spell it. She can also write letters in Hindi, the alphabets in Hindi or in English. And if I do a dictation, I would say, can you write this? And I would just spell the word. I mean, she can't write the word on her own, but if I just spell the word, for example, can you write my name, Shivi? And in that same speech, she could just write my name. And she doesn't really have to think, how do you write an S or how do you write an H? So at 5-year-old, it is fascinating. I mean, it's very young.
Yeah.
I mean, at one point, you would say, wow, that is impressive. But at the same time, if you think of it on the flip side, at a 5-year-old can do that. Imagine how much pressure does a child has. So, well, yes. So if you see that, there's a lot of emphasis on education, on literacy, and on learning right from an early age. So you, even if before you enter the school, you can read and write and maybe do math even before entering the school. And sometimes that is already during the admission.
Yeah.
Your principal might expect the child has already learned something at home or in kindergarten before entering the school. So it's a very, very tough process. Students are pressurized, they feel the stress, and they have to work a lot because there's a lot of competition, like I said.
So yeah, in some ways it's fascinating that you learn so much at a young age, but it's also kind of sad because there should be some more space to be a child, actually, right?
Yes. And until and unless I moved to Austria and got into early childhood education and started working as a kindergarten teacher, I would say I found it normal. But once I started working here, I got to know the system and I realized how important it is for a child till the age of 6 to have a free play time and then know their own interests. That is also that lacks in India. You don't really pick subjects or have the space or the freedom to pursue your career according to your interests. Rather, what is more what would give you more respect or earn you a better living, or you have a better future. So it's more seen in that way.
That's actually a bit wild that you have to think about that at such a young age.
Absolutely, yes. This is why we have so many engineers.
So thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much.
It was really nice to talk to you about this.
Thank you for having me.
Before we wrap up the video, we have 2 stickers here. So we have one India sticker and a France sticker.
Oh, wow.
That you can put on the suitcase right behind you. So we have a suitcase where we kind of collect the stickers from all our visitors.
Oh, wow. So I'm going to stick it right away. Okay.
always a bit fiddly.
Okay. So twisting is a little hard for me. So one. Oh, schwer.
Thank you for
Thank you
sticky
so
on the
much.
stickers. And also, again, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
And also, thank you to our listeners. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and a comment if you have something to say. And if you want to see more episodes like this, subscribe to our channel. We'll see you in our next video.